I was like, if you get into the top cut, we get to look at your deck list. So we can pull them up soon. I think that's what we might do, but for now, I see the Grixis list, and I hope Nathan fixed up top 4. Yes, you're right, Jigs. Welcome to the chat. Nathan's in the semifinals already in the top 4. We have decided on a prize structure that is $75 for third and fourth, and $150 for first. Everyone sounds fine with that, which is good. And we're joined here with Angus and Volty. So we're here, etc., etc. Get used to it, as they say. Let's pull up their lists actually, because they're just starting their games. But we can have a look at both of their lists. Hopefully Nathan and Harry are not here. And if they are here, I hope they don't mind us sharing their lists.
Okay, this is a pretty normal start for a blue mirror. Got some hand disruption being played, turn 1 ponder in response, turn 2 psychic frog, which got promptly dazed. I don't know if the ponder's shuffled. I also don't know how often that'll matter, but now Nathan's down a land and up a little bit of tempo as he was on the draw and has an extra card. So we'll see what happens. We'll see if Harry has a bit of follow-up. Doesn't look like it though.
I will post the links to you now. We'll keep them just to us, but I can obviously show people on the stream. But I'll send you these lists now. I have Grixis Tempo on Nathan's side and Blue-Black Tempo on the other side, which kind of interesting. I'm pretty sure Harry actually played this sort of thing last time as well. So it's cool to see it come back, I guess.
Okay, it looks like Harry wasn't just floating their mana, so that's good for them. We've got Thought Season Response. Don't know what cards are being chosen from, unfortunately.
We should be able to see their hand, surely. Who is the recipient? It is, okay, we can see. Hell yeah. Opposition Agent, Subtlety, Fatal Push.
And Fatal Push was the pick with Thought Seize. That's interesting. Suggests that Nathan plans on following up with a reasonable creature.
That's for you, that's for you. So, Grixis versus Dimir, pretty similar. Pretty small difference. I think it depends on what type of Grixis we're talking, because I think Nathan said Grixis Tempo, but we've had this conversation again and again and again and again that the difference between Tempo and Midrange and, like, you know, even if you want to call it like Blue Moon and stuff as well, like not in this instance, but in some others, it's like razor edge, you know, it's very small difference between what people would call Grixis Midrange and what people would call Grixis Control and Grixis Tempo. But yeah, we'll see what type. But if it was the Tempo Mirror, Volty, do you think it's better to be the blue-black deck, or is splashing red the right way to go?
So the main advantages of being pure Dimir are your mana base. That's easily the biggest one, having room for extra basics, a little less pain in your lands over the course of games if you get to play, you know, an extra Dark Shores type effect. And obviously having better mana over the course of a game. Those upsides don't really matter in the blue mirrors, unfortunately. Especially if your opponent isn't planning on blood mooning you, there's very little to be gained from playing those extra lands. Those are definitely for other formats. The extra life you have also doesn't really matter. I would definitely take the Grixis side of things. The main reason would be the 2 Rebs in the sideboard that are undoubtedly there from Nathan's side of it. And also, there are so many red threats that just can't be matched by the blue-black cards. Dragon's Rage Channeler comes to mind. If Nathan's fit in a Ragavan or a DHA into his point spread, those red cards Like, there are a lot of red cards that don't matter as much, so having access to Lightning Bolt doesn't matter that much when black has access to plenty of removal. Having access to Artifact Destruction with Byforce or Meltdown doesn't matter against blue-black. So on the surface, there's lots of minor changes that affect both deck lists, but what it really boils down to is that Nathan has access to some better threats, 2 reds, possibly some other sideboard cards that are red that he might be bringing in, and Harry's going to have a little bit more life. He's not going to get stuck on, if he has 4 mana and he wants to cast a 2 or 1 and a 1, he's not going to get stuck where a deck like Grixis could, especially if it's, a 2 that's XY and then 2 blue cantrips or 2 blue counter spells, then suddenly your Badlands might be catching you out, for example.
Yeah. I see it. It's very interesting. Excuse me, I'm looking at Harry's list now. We are seeing that main deck Orcish opposition agent, which definitely a decision. I don't think it's a bad decision. It is definitely a decision, but I feel like Harry is also maybe just messing with me specifically a little bit because we have the Sudden Edict in the main board, the Sheoldred's Edict in the main board, but also like Dance of the Dead, Animate Dead, and Reanimate are in Harry's deck. So if it's just for the troll, or if you like, there's an Atraxa and an Archon in here as well. So it's not out of the realms of possibility that he's trying to set himself up in the situation where he can line up that Entomb Reanimate kind of situation. But this is not a tempo deck. Like once you start playing Dark Ritual and Animate Dead, Dance the Dead, and kind of stops being that kind of deck, starts becoming a different deck. So it'll be interesting. He does have so much hand disruption. Him to Torak, Dreadfugue, Mind Twist, Thoughtseize, Grief, Inquisition. And he does have a few counterspells, including that Subtlety, which may or may not be important. I'm not a huge fan of Subtlety. But we'll see if it's been beneficial for Harry. I mean, it's obviously been somewhat beneficial because he's the Reanimate, Animate Dead deck that is in the top 4. But yeah, it'll definitely come down to whether or not Harry can whether Harry can jank him out, essentially, I think. Because Harry's got 0 cards in hand now, Nathan has 2. It's like pretty small difference, but a pretty influential distance when you consider the Psychic Frog on Nathan's side, and the fact that if Harry draws a Dark Ritual, if Harry draws an Entomb and no Reanimate, like he's going to be kicking himself when this might come down to like a mid-range Slogfest,
Yeah, he's definitely sacrificed the red, but trying to gain some equity with an unfair package, which I respect. It's definitely something that should be investigated in more mid-range decks. So obviously we have a lot of the usual suspects, Psychic Frog, Bowmasters out of the blue-black X decks, but by having the ability to punk people out with, an Archon of Cruelty or an Atraxa, maintaining the decent core of counterspells plus disruption plus removal spells, I like Harry's deck a lot. I think there are definitely going to be scenarios where you're really, really desperate for a cantrip because you've drawn a couple of wrong pieces that don't go together. I'm not certain how functional it is in that regard. I would personally like to see a second Surveil land, for example, just to give you a bit of extra equity there. But I mean, you mentioned the opposition agent. That's the sort of card that you have to play when you're a bit limited, because you need to keep your deck functionally sound. You need to have a critical mass of each of the pieces, and a lot of the other threats just don't cut it once you get down to it. And if you're going to be playing opposition agent in your sideboard, then it's kind of fine to play the main deck. That card used to be, Fairy Mastermind as an extra 8 piece that was also a flash creature.
Yeah, flash is real as well, like even just like flash at end of turn, you're not really doing anything anyway. It's like, feels good, Ooh, but
hard cast Snuff-Out.
Looks like the hard cast of the Snuff-Out's kind of I mean, you may as well. So obviously Nathan has 1 or 0 good cards in hand now, and now 2 because of the Psychic Frogs. That's good, but it's kind of interesting you're still seeing Snuff Out. Like, opponents like pretty happy to just cast it as a 4-mana removal spell, as like a Vraska's Contempt or whatever, but obviously Nathan doesn't have the luxury because it's pay 4 life, and Nathan's on a low 3, so I would.
I was going to interject, but I'm glad you caught that one.
Oh, thank you. That's so sweet of you. I appreciate that. It's like if
this
I have
is the
something
old,
on my face, I know that you'll let me talk for an hour about it, and then be like, hey, just so you know. But I didn't have to. That's right. Yes, yes.
I'll send you a message on a platform that I know you'll check after the stream.
Yeah, exactly. That's it. I'm DMing Angus about this situation.
It looks like a little bit of the reanimation suite we see is coming into play here. Reanimating Nathan's Baraglyph is a really potent life-linking threat. Nathan was very cleanly winning the race. Now, he's probably going to have to jump his Psychic Frog. I'm surprised he didn't eat the Baraglyph with the Psychic Frog in response. He might have been F6'd.
Oh, yeah, maybe he was.
What happened, but that definitely would have been the correct line. So I'm guessing it was probably just F6. I don't think the Baraglyph was in Harry's side. I believe that was the turn 1 Thoughtseize target from Harry to Nathan, so we'll see how this plays out now.
He must have something in mind. He's got 4 cards in hand, but he is facing... The Baraglyph is lethal now. Actually pretty impressed with the new Glyphs. I mean, we saw in when I was playing before, we had someone playing the Pyroglyph as well, so like kind of not even just a couple of them, like a big amount.
I think it's an interesting design space they've gone with here. Netherglyph is obviously the premium, and that's because it has flashback, and that's a very big deal. But I don't think it can be understated just how important it is that Glyph is going into colors that aren't green. Green has historically not been the best color to put cards into your graveyard. Now, obviously that's white first, but green is easily second worst. And not being able to put as many card types into your own graveyard, that's why we don't really see Tarmogoyf in green decks anywhere near as often as we see people playing Tarmogoyf in their blue X decks. Just because having the extra threat is high impact, and you're more likely to get it to a 4/5, which is realistically the minimum it needs to be.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it's really
Here
funny
we
to see
see.
it. It's like, I've seen it before. Here comes him to Thoracle. Gets the last few cards out of the hand, the Fatal Push and the Spell Pierce. I bet poor Nathan, at least Nathan was able to discard it to the Psychic Frog. It would have been, obviously, wouldn't feel very good if you didn't. We're gonna have to put the Murktide in front of here and accept our life loss. But 3/4, 3/2, 1 card in hand.
Nathan's winning this game pretty comfortably. As long as his 2 cards that he draws for this turn are somewhat functional, should be fine. I don't know if Harry has any outs.
I'm like half tempted to just get that 1 more point, put Harry to 3, because I mean this is just over. But
if he does have Dark Ritual in his deck,
maybe
put something together.
Not that it matters. Yeah, lose focus. Getting a lot of value here with this lose focus. Have you played with this card before? Have you enjoyed it? It feels like it's on its way to being, maybe you played instead of Mana Leak, maybe you played after Mana Leak. Where do you think it sits?
I haven't played with it yet, but every bit of me tells me that this card is a lot better than most of the other slots that people were playing in its place. I think it's probably just after Counterspell, which is pretty high praise, but Mana Leak and Evasive Action aren't what they used to be. Remand is only good in very specific decks, but those decks definitely need to be playing all of their forces first.
Yes.
The thing about Lose Focus is Flinch is passable enough that it's not that bad of a card to put into your deck, but Lose Focus gives you so much equity in so many other spots. Now, on the surface, if you're paying 3 mana to stop a card from getting cast because they have 3 extra mana but not 4 extra mana, then sure, it's just a cancel. but then you get into the realm of counter battles, where there are lots of spells on the stack, and your loose focus can single-handedly bail you out. You can counter multiple spells. This comes up a lot against things like Bloodbraid Elf, which is a pretty classic example, where you can play a cancel that actually 2-for-1s, even though your opponent is trying to 2-for-1 you. I think loose focus is great. I think it's going to be showing up a lot. It'll only really show up where Mana Leak would, because if your deck is playing Mana Drain, Counterspell, Force, Misstep, and then you're stopping, you're not going to be putting the loose focus into your deck. But if you are looking for that 5th, 6th, 7th Counterspell, I think this one beats out all the other 1 and blue ones.
Yeah,
for sure.
Interesting. I think it's... I might... I was going to say maybe I put Mana Leak above it, because like... pay 3 extra it's almost always a counterspell, you know. But you're right, the absolute flexibility of adding an additional, like the replicate is like much better than kicker or whatever, you know. Like if it was like it just stops that counter war in a really nice way that we used to see a lot with Flusterstorm. Like you would just bring in Flusterstorm if you knew you were going to be in a counter war, because it kind of beats every counter war. Unless your opponent has a Flusterstorm, but yeah, I've seen it quite a lot, the loose focus, and been impressed. I mean, cancel's fine. You don't want to play actual cancel. You don't want to play invert polarity, but you'll definitely play loose focus.
I mean, yeah, if invert polarity could target multiple spells, I would be less inclined to call it wildly unplayable.
Okay.
I think the issue that I have with Mana Leak at the moment anyway is that on the surface it is a 2-mana counterspell, and in the early game it is going to be that. But so much of the format has now gone to let's get to turn 4, let's get to turn 5. And when you have a Mana Leak and your opponent plays a Nethergoyf on turn 4 and they have 3 extra mana, you just feel horrific.
Oh yeah.
And when they're playing a Murktide Regent for 2 of their mana and they have 4 extra mana to fight back, you just have a dead card in hand. I think Remand is seeing less play than it probably should be, because it's one of the counter spells that can win counter wars, because you can pick up your own spells, as you used to be able to do in Modern before that card became unplayable.
Yeah.
But loose focus has enough going for it, I think, that we'll probably see it for a while.
For sure. You're not seeing like any reprieves at all, right? You haven't seen a reprieve in the time that you've ever played the white Remand?
I've seen it show up in sideboards.
Okay.
I think it's an okay choice. I think if you're looking for stack interaction, or if you're looking for a very specific kind of interaction out of a white deck that presumably doesn't have blue, which would be the main reason to play reprieve, I think you should probably put a Silence or an Orange Chant into your sideboard before a reprieve, because it's more likely to actually hose the critical mass combo decks that you're probably against.
Definitely.
Reprieve is good when you counter a Delve threat, for example, but you're in white already. You should be able to deal with creatures. Your main issue is going to be fighting on the stack, and Silence at the right time, before a ritual resolves, is a huge deal. Silence as they start going off with their Bolus Citadel, that helps you. Reprieve just doesn't help enough in enough spots, so I don't think the card is playable. But I've definitely seen it. I mean, people will try anything in this format.
Yeah, well, that's true. People will try anything. I like that it's it gives white a little bit of something, but I think probably Invasion of Gobakhan like might beat it. It's like nice that you can fight on the stack, but like if it's a Damnation, like you're pretty effed anyway, because it just happened next turn. And if it's like if it's like Flash, like if it's like a combo piece as well, you're kind of also stuffed as well, because you want that card to go away forever. You don't want it to be like nearby, ready to go for next turn. So putting it back in your hand is getting it to put it back into your opponent's hand is very difficult.
Alright, so back to the game. It looks like we've had a couple of things happen, but nothing affecting the board. Both players very healthy, both players hitting the land drops with 5 cards in hand. So we're probably in for a long haul here.
Mm.
We might see if that mana leak choice comes up, actually.
Yeah, we might have to give the players also an opportunity to have extra time after this round. Probably should have mentioned it before, but some people are just like straight up against extra time anyway, because it's, you know, if you can't finish, just it's a different story. And I think the Moto one is pretty fair, but I don't know. Do you think the finals should be? Is there value to making the finals untimed?
Yes, that's the eternal question. I like Moto's chess clock. I prefer it. I think on paper, well, sorry, in paper, having untimed rounds it's an unfortunate necessity because you do need to have a winner in these, you know, top cut events with one invite for RC, for example. You do need to have a winner of every round, and you can't implement a chess clock. But on Moto, because we can implement a chess clock, I don't think there's a reason to give unlimited time because there's just not a necessity there.
Yeah.
You know, there is an extra way that players can fight in terms of the game, and 25 minutes is heaps to take all the game actions you should need to win the game.
Totally.
Looks like chat's talking about reprieve. They've finally up to us.
Obviously, we're in a little bit of a delay, but
Yeah.
Jig is up.
And also
Pitching to Solitude is something that neither of us considered. That's a good point. Is a good point.
Yeah, but I mean, if you're in white, all of your cards pitch to Solitude. If you're playing Reprieve over Remand because it pitches to Solitude, and you're playing blue-white or Jeskai or Esper, sure.
Yeah,
but you could play No More Lies. That's a white card that pitches to Solitude.
That's true. It's a good card,
and it has the exile upside, which helps against Netherglyph, which is very notable.
That's right. We're seeing some scam stuff happening here. It looks like Nathan's going for that hard cast Force of Negation. Harry has a plan, and it's Mana Drain. You know what I do like? I like Mana Drain into Archon of Cruelty. That's like really nice. So I can see where Harry's coming from with this deck for sure.
Nathan should have just an island in hand after getting grief.
So we got Shoulder's Edict is gone. Okay. So we know Nathan has one unknown card. So Mana Drain's gonna
get Harry has a bunch of mana. Yeah. Okay. Notably, I assume this is what happened, but Harry cast Reanimate in his second main phase, specifically scenario, so that the Mana Drain mana would happen on his first main phase of the following turn.
Yes.
I didn't actually catch, but I assume because that's when he has his mana that he's gone through that to do that, which is very heads up play. And very important to do. If you're playing Mana Drain, knowing your timings is important, even just as a bluff. So, tip for you kids out there who haven't been playing that card since 2004.
I think a lot of it's very skill. It's like very skill intensive era of Magic cards as well. Because I mean, when Mana Drain used to be a downside, but. Because we used to have damage, mana burn, of course, but it's interesting, especially with like Carpet of Flowers as well. Like you don't usually consider what phase you're in, but it was really helpful for to level up your gameplay, to actually really mindfully consider which phase you're in, especially when you're also tussling in combat as well. It's actually just good for you to learn that stuff as a player. That is it better for me to punch all my spells off before I attack, or is attacking going to be good here? Do I want to bait out something? Sometimes you're also in the position where you want to bait out the removal spell, so then you should attack first, but maybe you want the attacker to stick around. But usually, we try and tell people, of course, that you should wait as long as you possibly can to make your decision, because then you have the most amount of information.
It looks like Nathan's picking it up here. He knows he's drawing a bolt and he's getting very, very far behind. So we're going to game 3 here. In regard to your previous point there, Angus, I think there are lots of small things that people don't think about when they don't play Eternal formats. Carpet of Flowers and Mana Drain have timing on them, but once you start playing these older formats, you have Carpet of Flowers, you have Mana Drain, and you have more hasty creatures that matter. Things like Broadside Bombardiers, and every bit of tension in working out how you should be working off the stack. I mean, even doing things in your own upkeep or in your opponent's upkeep, these are lessons that people are learning over time. And it's one of the most impactful ways you can level up your gameplay is to get out of the mindset of draw step, main phase, combat, end turn. Because there's a lot of steps, there's a lot of phases, and you should learn to use all of them.
Yeah. It's fun to watch people because every now and then you get into like this really weird point with priority as well, because you like a really good player might let something happen, have the stack empty, and then try again for something else, but it's like kind of in people's minds a lot of the time that they should just play the spells when they can or whatever. But if it's things like a removal spell and you have like an additional removal spell, but you need your opponent to respond, and then they know that you need to respond, so they don't, and then like there's really interesting complexities around when you let spells resolve as well. So like fully utilizing the phases, fully utilizing the stack, yeah, really nice ways to sort of up your gameplay for sure.
There's actually a card we've already mentioned, which is Lose Focus. One of the ways you can force a counter war that isn't a real counter war, but is actually just a stack war, is if your opponent plays a thing and you respond with a thing that doesn't interact with that. So, your opponent plays a creature and you're playing a removal spell on a different creature. You can play it in response to that first creature, so that if they play a counter spell, you can lose focus both the creature they're playing and the counter spell on your removal spell. So, there's heaps of, like, it'd be so intuitive to just say, I'm not going to kill this new creature, it resolves, that's fine, I can't counter it, whatever. But now, because you're forcing a bunch of mana to be spent at the same time, your Lose Focus gets you a 2-for-1. So things to keep in mind, for sure.
Definitely.
And one of the easiest ways to level up your gameplay is to analyze these weird board states by playing a lot and playing a lot of intense matchups where a lot of micro decisions matter. You're going to get into those spots more often so that you can learn these things and have them better ingrained within you.
Yeah. Absolutely.
So it looks like back to the game. We've got a Delver that's getting drowned. Looks like we're returning to parity. 2 lands in play for both players. Bunch of cards in hand.
We missed out. We did the surveil on the back to basics on Harry's side. Kind of interesting is that, I mean, he obviously, maybe he didn't, no, he had 1 fetch. He had 2 fetches, okay. So he could have theoretically lined up that back to basics line, but maybe he thought that he might be a bit pinched on lands. Like, it actually tells you a lot to know that the back to basics is in the bin, because I would probably try and cast it, Like, this is the reason that you would play a 2-color deck over a 3-color deck, but he must either just be like, maybe he's like struggling to hit his land drops. It looks like he's doing okay, but or he's like lining up his turns and going, I have to get this as a non-basic, I have to get this as a non-basic, like maybe it's gonna hurt me more. But yeah, this is a really interesting matchup that I think is gonna come down to like 1 or 2 decisions spiraling out of control,
Yeah, 100%. Looks like a Murktide would be my guess. Getting cast. Blue, and paying costs.
Oh yeah, usually
threatening to block the Dreadhorde.
Yeah. So we have only Consider in the bin. Like, chump attacking doesn't feel good at all. Especially doesn't feel good if you're, like, the benefit is I get to play a Consider for free. So we'll see if there's any other reason to get in, but have a look at Nathan's list. Check up on those points. I can see on Nathan's side, his points are Force of Will, Snapcaster Mage, Dreadhorde Arcanist, Ragavan, Murktide, Orcish Bowmasters. So really nice split of just 1-pointed cards with the exception of Ragavan, which I think is worthy of making that. Ooh, this is a good upside. I was about to say that's a nice reason to play red, but we just found out another nice reason to play red, and that's Bolt Snap Bolt. Big fan. Big fan.
Yeah, this is... Oh, okay, we're going to have another fight here. And we've got Flusterstorm coming in, so should be safe from even... Oh, I guess a misstep can still counter the Bolt here. But it looks like the Murktide should be getting through. Or the Bolt on the Murktide. So now we're down to 2 cards each. But Nathan has a Dreadhorde, so I'm definitely giving him the edge at the moment.
Definitely.
Although he has run out of cantrip. Oh no, he didn't cast the Consider card, so he still has a cantrip. Oh boy. Okay.
This is a main deck consideration. We're going to see if it's good or not. This is Winter Moon, a updated version of Winter Orb or Blood Moon, but players can only untap 1 basic land. So Harry's going to be able to untap basically everything, leave 1 tapped, not even this turn, but it's going to be a lot more difficult for Nathan to push his way through. Plus, he missed that land drop as well from the last round, so hopefully he did find a land from this Consider.
Did not.
He did not.
And he binned an EI with the Consider.
Yeah.
I think I would have maybe kept the EI and just untapped the falls. Now we're losing the DHA.
If you're not hitting a land drop after the expressive iteration, then you're in like serious shit. So like, you may as well try and go for it, I think.
So we've got Harry with 1 card in hand, stifle Nathan's expenditure, but he has 5 cards in hand. And as long as he's playing, you know, 1 cheap-ish threat a turn, I'm still giving the edge to him at the moment.
Yeah. Harry is untapping with a full, all of his mana, but not a full grip. Quite the opposite, as you said. Only 2 cards now. One of them being a Marsh Flats. Yeah, it's like what is the term? Mana Flood beats Mana Screw, because eventually your hand will be unlocked. So if he is getting
it's the other way around. Mana Screw beats Mana Flood.
Right, exactly, exactly. If you stop drawing lands, then that's great, but if you don't, then your hand is still just full of lands. Whereas the Mana Screw opponent usually gets out of it, and it looks like that's maybe going to be one of these times. I don't think Nathan really cares about having more than 4 lands, so he might not be too hurt by this Winter Moon. From the chat, we have found a winner. Juzza has beaten Cody. Grixis Thoracle, I believe, has beaten out on Eldrazi. So congrats to Cody for getting most of the way there. Cody will walk away with a neat $75 in the palm of their hand. And Juzza will be going in for the either $150 or this beautiful Badlands. Who's excited?
Can you open up Nathan's hand for me now that he's getting Inquisition?
Oh, yeah.
What do we got here?
Lose focus, fatal push, cling to dust.
Right, that makes sense. So I think the fatal push is probably getting taken by the Inquisition, maybe the lose focus. The cling to dust got taken, okay.
Cling, yeah, maybe he thinks that like Reanimate might still be on the table if he's holding up Entomb, maybe. Because he's never, like, Nathan's never casting this Cling again, because I don't think he wants to put his stuff under the moon just to draw a card with the Cling. But I don't know, the good thing about Cling is that you always have the option to do that. You know, you don't have to, but you have the option to.
I think he might have taken the Cling just as both, and, you know, giving himself an out to reanimate something big, but also that, you know, all of the cards in Nathan's hand represent what they are, except Cling, which is a cantrip, essentially, and could represent anything. And maybe Harry believes he can beat a lose focus and a fatal push, but not an unknown card. So we'll see how it plays out. This Legislator hasn't yet, and I honestly don't expect it to anytime soon. That's a big deal. Okay, if Harry doesn't have anything, he's probably just dead in 2 turns.
Yeah. Harry's
yeah,
gonna
I
have
think
something. I mean, I guess he has drawn the land, I think, for the last 3 turns, which is pretty bad.
I would expect his hand has an 8-drop in it. I would expect it to have an Archon or an Atraxa. I'm almost positive. Because if he took the Cling, then maybe he's trying to give himself an out to hit that. It might be another land, but I wouldn't be surprised if it's one of those 8-drops.
Yeah, I can see it. Because that's like the only way that Harry can probably get back into this game is that like you need that huge push from the punk out. Okay, Psychic Frog coming out.
Psychic Frog off the Ragavan is a huge deal.
Yeah, this doesn't look good. Even if, because Nathan's got lethal cards in his hand now as well, so it's really like Psychic Frog's lethal. Ragavan's like almost lethal in a really annoying way. Yeah, and Nathan takes out. Congratulations to Nathan. Wonderful, great job. We're gonna do a boosty game right now. I guess I'll give him. You'll also get a 2-minute head start, but let's put it in the chat. As you've seen before, type trade request. Oh, okay. Yes, Jake, sure. Let me get my cards back. Post in the chat, boosty. I'm gonna put a 5-minute timer on. Thanks, Jake. I'm going to put a 5-minute timer on and then we can get the boosty started. So you won't be hearing this for another 2 minutes, but I will make sure that everyone gets a go to press boosty in the chat and I'll open a boosty for them. One of my preferred methods of using boosters, that's for sure, because I hate opening them myself. When I open them myself, I'm like, what have I done? Why have I done this to myself, you know? 5-minute timer started. If you see this, please get in there. Boosty, let's go. Tiny Potato with a gun already on it. No stress, great game.
Good stuff. So it looks like our finals match is going to be 2 Grixis decks that are incredibly different.
Oh yeah.
We have Grixis Thoracle versus Grixis Tempo, Grixis Delver. The way this matchup is probably going to play out is that... Actually, can you give me Juzza's deck list?
Yeah, absolutely.
At some point? But basically, there's going to be a lot of leveraging minor advantages in the early game, and we're going to hit a stagnant point where one player is run low on resources, and it really, really depends on which player that is. Now, if Nathan manages to keep a full group at all times, but he starts drawing removal spells, then it's possible that losing the resources like counter magic, discard spells, and threats is going to leave him wide open to getting punked out by Thoracle Demonic Consultation or Thoracle Tainted Pact. And if Juzza is the one who's low on resources, he has the out of backdooring a win, which I think is why he probably has the edge in this matchup. I think, you know, on the one hand, yes, Nathan has more pointed cards. He has a full set of 6 pointed cards. He has a 2 and 5 ones, where Juzza's points are all sunk into Thassa's Oracle. But the cards themselves don't matter that much in a matchup like this. With the exception of Ragavan, all of the pointed cards are Force of Will or a threat, and all of the threats could be realistically anything, where Juzza's cards are far more polarized. A bunch of his spells are the same as Nathan's, but some of his spells can just win him the game on the spot. And I think I'm going to give him the edge here. I think I'm going to give Juzza the edge here.
Okay. Those decks like do really play like a Grixis control deck, you know, and it's like really nice to have that, like, I have it in my back pocket, I'm like ready to go off if I need to, which is something that I think Grixis, like normal Grixis, is kind of like frustratingly can't have access to, because every good combo is either wildly inconsistent or a bunch of points. It looks like our players are about to start. We got a lot of boosties in the chat, which means that everyone's paying well attention. We'll keep it going up until I guess we can go for the full 5 minutes. But if you don't get in, it will be 2 minutes left on your clock, maybe, because we are doing a bit of a stream delay. But I think it's worth it. This is like we're trending into high stakes, right? You know, you want to make sure that everyone feels comfortable playing in the way that they want to play.
So I've got Juzza's list up, and yeah, their threat bases look quite similar. They both have a Psychic Frog, they both have a Ledger Shredder, they both have a Darcy, for example, and some Delve threats, some higher end threats. And then their blue and black spells, and honestly their red spells are very similar, with the exception of the tutor package that Juzza has access to, and obviously plenty of bricks, like Demonic Consultation, where Nathan has more of the generic good cards. So we'll see how it plays out, but I expect it to be somewhat similar to what I described. Yeah.
I would agree. I don't think you are like Juzza's spending card slots on obviously the things that you're forced into: Tainted Pact, Muddle the Mixture, Demonic Consultation, obviously, and Step Through. So there's like definitely a bunch of cards that you are making the consideration that yes, I am a combo deck, and I'm not just gonna like fall into it. I'm gonna try really hard. He's putting his points into Profane Tutor, which I like as well. Like the timing of Profane Tutor is really nice with Thoracle because you usually have basically everything by the time turn 2 Profane Tutor can come off the stack. It's really nice. They also wonderful addition that's really perfect for Thoracle that I think Juzza's hopefully been enjoying a lot is this Flare of Denial, the blue free counterspell that sacrifices the Thoracle. So you have to keep that in mind now if you're going to verse this deck.
Harry's in chat to answer questions. If you've got any questions for Harry then, feel free to fire them off. But in terms of how the game's shaking out, yeah, so a little bit of early game positioning, as I said. Both players are going to make sure they hit at least their first 3 land drops. Nathan doing that with Dragon's Rage Surveil trigger off the Mishra's Bauble, and Juzza cycling a Gitaxian Probe and playing a Brainstorm. So we'll see how the game moves forward. Looks like a little bit of a fight over the Darcy here.
Yeah, this is nice. If we can, we can't. Ooh, we're pretty close to turning on the DRC. I don't think Nathan minds at all going down a land for this, but if he manages to turn on the Dragon's Rage channel, he needs probably any cantrip will do it, any sorcery will do it. I wouldn't mind trying to turn on the DRC as quickly as possible because it looks like we don't have that benefit, but yeah, just want to make sure that you're pressuring Juzza for as long as possible because he will put himself into a situation where he has Thoughtseize combo, Thoughtseize combo counterspell, Thoughtseize combo, so you won't just be able to like hold back and sit on a counterspell and hope for the best. You will have to do your work as well.
Yeah, fun fact, kids, an 18-turn clock is a little bit slower than a 6-turn clock. There's a hot tip for you there. Looks like a fight over an AI here, so Juzza trying to hit his 3rd land drop with the AI. Doesn't look like he had a backup, so he's going to be sitting on his 2. Nathan going into turn 3 will remake his 2nd land drop after days. But it looks like this Darcy's still getting in for 1. So, Juzza's bought at least a full turn. Just because this Darcy hasn't been able to get in. But it looks like a Murktide following up now. Probably a 5/5, I think?
I think so.
So Darcy's even further away, but now we have a full 3-turn clock to go.
Yeah, it's really tough trying to find the right time to do a Murktide because you want it to be an 8/8 as much as possible, but sometimes you just don't have that privilege. Let's take a small break while we're watching these people. It's giveaway time. At least 2 minutes has passed since the giveaway ended, so let's pop it off. I'm going to press the go button. Jake, primetime ETB trigger. Congratulations. Wonderful. Here's a boosty. We'll wait for you to realize that you've won. Congratulations. You will get 1 of these Murder's a Call of Mana or Thungle Bungle Cowboy Town. I think that's the set's name. Let us know if you want us to, which one you want, and if you want us to open it on stream, and we'll do that for you. But congratulations for the boosty. Look at my little pog champs getting their boosties. How many good boy points do you think a boosty is worth overall, Violet?
What, that you're earning or that they're spending?
They would have to spend it for a boosty.
Probably like 10, 15. It also depends on the booster.
Yeah,
Like an MH3 collector booster, that's like 500 good boy points.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's taking the trash out every day for a year. You know?
That's a good deal. That's a good deal.
Bit more. Looks like Nathan has drawn quite a lot of counter magic to go with this threat, so this is definitely the way to win the game. He's very low on cards, but Juzza's just been stifled in what he's been trying to do. So as long as he gets an extra 2 combats out here, this is how Nathan wins. But if Juzza is trying to punk him out and can spend a couple of mana over the course of the next 1 turn that he has, cantripping and digging, again, he might just punk out Nathan with a Thassa's Oracle. So definitely a very volatile matchup.
Yeah, I'd be so scared of that, especially with 1 card in hand for Nathan. Like, Nathan really, like, Force of Will is a pretty premium counter spell, it does get a lot. And, like, now Juzza has 4 cards in hand, like, maybe he can weasel his way into it. It's, like, really tough if you want to, like, because going for the Psychic Frog is a different strategy, of course, than trying to line up Thassa's Oracle, but maybe it could mean both, which is the worst part, that it could mean that Juzza has the combo in hand and doesn't need the Unearth, so he's just going to throw it out to try and bait that counterspell. Or he doesn't have anything in his hand, and he's like, well, maybe I'm going to, like, slow down the game with the Unearth. So looks like Jake's in. That 2-minute delay getting us, but worth it for the team. I think 2 minutes is a good period of time. It's not too long, but it was like 5 minutes. It's just be like so hard to interact with chat, of course. I love interacting with chat.
Nathan is completely face up. He has no cards in hand. He's playing out his Psychic Frog in case Juzza plans on playing a blocker. And if this is an end of turn Tainted Pact, the game's over.
Yeah.
Limdor's Vault, he gets to look at 15 cards. That's a pretty big deal. If he has either half in hand, this probably gets there.
Gets the other half, yeah. And for, like, depends on what Juzza has in his hand, of course, but usually the, like, 4 mana type gets you to most of the combo. Like, you really can do it on 3, of course, with Demonic Consultation plus Thassa's Oracle. Give me that Surveil Land, a Vein Ripper. Alright, Murder's on stream. So let's just wait for this. I think we'll wait for sideboarding, because it feels like it might happen soon. I think the game will be decided in...
Yeah, this game will last
Vault. Yeah. So we'll see. He has decided to keep his 3rd go around, his 3rd seat of cards. So he looked at the whole 15. He didn't like it. It is going to be a bit tricky. I like Limdol's on the 0-point list. Doesn't that feel like a nice 0-point tutor?
I think Limdol's is a bit contentious. It asks a fair amount of you. You usually need to have 2 card combos rather than 3 or 4 card combos. Yeah. And you need to have enough interaction that you're not just doing Limdol's on 4 life every single time. But the fact that it doesn't put the card into your hand, so you can't top deck and win the game with a Limdol's Vault, is part of why it sits at 0, as far as I can tell. Like, Limdol sees almost as many cards as a full tutor.
Yeah.
But at the same time, sometimes it just doesn't do that. And sometimes it isn't a tutor, like, at all. Yeah. You have exactly 1 turn, you draw it off the top, you're dead. So, Scry a Million is a really good card. But Scry a Million draw a card is way better.
Yeah,
and that's why every tutor is 1 point and why Limdol's is 0.
Yeah, that's a really important distinction. Like, the end of turn thing is really nice, obviously. You get a good benefit from being able to be instant speed, but, like, not. I mean, it would be completely unplayable for sorcery speed. I think we should probably make that pretty clear. All right, Nathan.
Nathan takes game one. Juzza did not find it. I assume the ponder shuffled and also bricked, so we're going into game two. He must have just been missing some of it, and Limdors didn't get there. If he had a little bit more life, that Limdors would have seen more cards. If that Darcy flipped earlier, then the game would have been over as well. So it's very interesting how much life matters in a matchup where life doesn't matter. So it's interesting to see.
Yeah,
we'll let them play a sideboard if you want to do this pack to Jake there.
Let's do a bit of boosties, huh? I got you on both screens now, which is wonderful. Jakey boy, murders on stream. Give me that Surveil or Vein Ripper. All right, well, this one's yours. Let me know if you want me to do what you want me to do with it afterwards. If you want me to throw it out the window. Hopefully you get the Vein Ripper, but love a good boosty. Love a good boosty. Not much to do on a Saturday, but open booster packs and stream some Magic. All right, so Merfolk, great one. Beautiful island. Looks like we've already seen the rare. It's a Slice from the Shadows. I've never seen this card before, but spell can't be countered. Target creature gets minus X until end of turn, and it is a X. Oh no, this is not your thing. You get a Coveted Falcon. Wonderful. Actually, this is a banger pack. You get Coveted Falcon and Lush Portico.
Ooh!
Very nice. That's
nice
a
Surveil land. Actually got the Surveil land.
Got the Surveil land. Very nice. Coveted Falcon, I don't think we'll ever see play in Highlander, but it might. It might. We almost
People
have enough pieces.
Playing it in a combo deck where you would gift your opponent 9 lives, the enchantment that killed you when it died.
Oh, yeah.
That was like a Pioneer or Modern combo. I cannot imagine that will ever make it to 7 point. So,
well,
unlucky with that. But the Lush Portico, that's playable.
That's a really
Hell
yeah. So thank you, Jake. I'll put this here. I'll put it aside for you, and you can, I guess, I'll see you tomorrow. Monday. Yeah, I think we're like kind of close to having enough pieces for Donate deck to work. Like, we have Harmless Offering, we have Donate, we have the other side of course, Liliana's Contract, but also, what's that? Archfiend of the something? Where there's the
Archfiend of the drops?
That's
the oil counters?
Yeah, the oil counters. Yeah, okay. You got a couple of things to donate. The poor person that bravely decides to pick it up. I'm looking forward to them. Leyline of the Void to start off the game on Juzza's side.
Huge deal.
Huge deal. We see Baleful Strix, Sheoldred, Tainted Pact, Tamiyo, Tasiga.
His hand is very loose. Okay, he's banking on this Leyline carrying.
But the Leyline, like, it doesn't carry that much against Grixis. Like, especially when your opponent's taking the Tamiyo. This is like a bad time to be down a game, that's for sure. Doesn't matter. Oh. We drew. All part of the plan. All part of the plan.
That is the Juzza difference right there. If you're ever curious how Justin keeps winning Highlander tournaments, I've got a Leyline in my hand. This is why I ordered it in. What could go wrong? Oh, nothing, because I'm goated. So, good job there. We've got the Strix in play now. We've got 2 mana. We have the Leyline, which I'm pretty sure Nathan is stone cold to, other than maybe an Odawara. Considering it's an enchantment and he's in Grixis. So he's really going to have to put some work in to find threats that don't get blanked by Leyline. So he's got like a Delver, a Ragavan, a Shredder. Scythic Frog does go through Leyline. Murktide, Angler, Barragoyf, Nethergoyf, all pretty bad. Dreadhorde pretty bad. Darcy pretty bad. Okay.
Okay, I guess it actually does hit a lot.
It hits more than you'd think.
Yeah.
Which is kind of how like Leyline and Rest in Peace have been going in recent years. There are too many threats that incidentally use the graveyard. Because, like, you know, obviously if you Leyline a graveyard deck, like, that's great, and you win the game. But the fact that you can bring it in against, you know, Dragon Rage Channeler, like, it's a huge difference that incidental graveyard hate has just become so potent over the last couple of years.
Yeah. It's kind of the opposite side of the coin that you were mentioning before, saying you have to use your graveyard because it's a really good resource. And yes, it is, of course. We used to call like these sort of Grixis mid-rangey cards like decks, like this was like a good relic of Progenitus side in, because it's like, it is graveyard hate, but it just draws you a card, it replaces itself if it's shit. You're like not losing too much, and like Leyline and Void is on the opposite end of the spectrum. It's like, this is going to be bad most of the time. But Juzza's really lined up the situation in which it's good. And I think he's going to get a lot of value from this, actually.
So he's not trading here because he's worried about the damage. The Surveil is going to dig Nathan closer to real cards like Psychic Frog. But I think he's also trading there so that he can guarantee he can cast Tasiga and put on a real clock. So I'm assuming Tasiga is going to get played this turn. And this Psychic Frog, it's big, it draws cards, it is not going to get flying. So realistically, it's probably just going to be a blank if Juzza can have, you know, a big enough creature to sort of sit and play, which Tasiga is. So at the moment, I would say Juzza's probably 65-70% to win this game.
I can't believe how that math shifted as soon as Juzza top decked that land. I think that math shifted incredibly.
He was at like, he was still at 15-20%.
Okay.
So when he starts with the Leyline, he's at like 55.
Yeah.
And then when he gets Thoughtseized and loses the Tamiya and doesn't have a second land, he's all the way down to 5-10%. And then he draws a fetch land, and suddenly he's all the way back up at 60-70%. And now the game's progressing relatively as normal. It kind of looks like none of that early game stuff happened. And from here, I think, you know, as long as his Brainstorm is somewhat serviceable, and if this Tasiga lives, he's going to be in great shape here. If this Tasiga doesn't live, and Nathan gets to draw a couple of extra cards off this frog, then, you know, he'll be fine. But the fact that his threat base is so much weaker because of this Leyline might make it so that Juzza just actually has enough time to put together enough to win the game.
And he will need to make his decisions probably a little bit more quick. He is fighting uphill battle now because he has to win 2 matches in 13 minutes, whereas his opponent has 20. I don't want to have the conversation about untimed top 8s and then immediately have someone die because in the finals because they ran out of clock. But as the nature of MTGO tournaments, you know.
I think it's not going to be too bad regardless. Juzza plays a lot of Moto, so he knows how to play fast. But he's also been around the block, and he's especially been around the Moto block. But I think if he ever lost a match to time that he thought he should have won, he's going to cop the L because he knew he ran out of time. Like, Juzza was a chess champion in high school. I don't know if people know this, but he's very used to chess clocks.
Oh, cool.
So I don't think you're going to hear any complaints. You're not going to hear, this should have been untimed top 8. Like, no, he's just going to be like, well, all right, should have played faster.
Yeah, absolutely.
Hopefully it doesn't come to that, obviously, but these matches can go really long.
So we should have, annoyingly, been able to see what Nathan had in hand from the Gitaxian Pro.
I think it's the next...
or maybe it was the Surveil. It might have been the Surveil choice.
Yeah, he might have binned it off the probe. But here comes the Tasiga. So if Nathan doesn't have an answer to this, then his frog's not getting in. Unless he's devoting all of his cards to the frog.
Yeah.
Which I think Juzza would take in a heartbeat.
Yeah, I
knowing
think so
that
too.
he should
Yeah.
have enough removal in his deck to beat a 5/6 cycle.
I'd be
He-
I'd be pooping myself if I was Nathan because Nathan knew that Juzza had the Tainted pack, so he's almost certainly, unless he shuffled it away with Brainstorm, which is not likely to do, but he knows he has half the combo in his hand, and he also has to deal with the Tasiga. Like, to discard your hand to beat Tasiga, I don't think you're ever doing that. Secret downside to Psychic Frog is that jumping it would be actually quite nice right now. You'd probably start that race if you were able to jump the frog.
Yeah, I mean, Psychic Frog is very good against incidental chip graveyard hate.
Yeah.
It is not very good against Rest in Peace. What? It's fine. It's a threat that works through the graveyard, but when you can't jump it, and your opponent has a blocker, now we're into issue territory.
Yeah. Really nice inclusion from Nathan's part. Stifle. Watch out, gamers. There's a Stifler on the loose. That's like, again, a really nice way to get yourself out of those like early matches if you get paired into someone who doesn't know about Stifle, because you hit him with it on the fetch land. At the very least, it's like a 1-mana Stone Rain. But at the very best, like, you might get a Solitude, you might get a Leyline Binding, you might get an Otawara. Like, there's lots of really good ETBs out there and other triggers that you can piff with that Stifle. So it's good to see it.
Notably, it hits Thassa's Oracle, which is
important.
Alright, we're seeing an end of turn Tainted Pact here. It's probably gonna see a counterspell or justify a counterspell. Might have been bait, might not have been.
We'll have to see. Sometimes you just like, I think Juzza's in the commanding position just on board presence alone.
Yeah.
Just because he's got the Tasiga.
Here comes the Sheoldred we knew about. And
I think you're right.
I mean, the Tasiga hasn't been answered. So the Sheoldred's almost certainly not getting answered.
Yeah.
So Juzza's creeping into the, 80-85% territory. We know that Nathan doesn't have any lands in hand. He would probably be playing them. But he does have 4 cards. But we know none of them can kill Tasiga, or the Psychic Frog would have been connected. So it's probably some amount of counter magic that can't hit creatures. So Spell Pierce, for example. There might be a graveyard card that's getting checked by this Leyline, so an Angler or a Murktide Regent could be rotting in his hand as well.
Yeah. He is
I
taking
think
a very
he's going to have to
conservative.
draw something.
Yeah. Excuse me. He did make the conservative option of not attacking with the Tasiga. Maybe just like trying to stop Nathan from doing any Psychic Frog shenanigans, but I think if your opponent discards their hand to make Psychic Frog good, you can just like let it attack. Maybe do, maybe don't, maybe give up this Sheoldred, but I'd be pretty inclined to try and keep Sheoldred around as long as possible.
I think the reasoning to not attack there is that even if your opponent is going to discard the whole hand to Frog to eat your Tasiga, like that's fine for you. But if they just take 4, draw a removal spell that they didn't have for the Sheoldred, they then get to draw another card with the Psychic, which could give them a backdoor out to finding a cantrip to then kill the Tasiga as well. I think being full shields up, gain a couple of extra life points with the Sheoldred by, making sure that nothing ever happens, making sure the Psychic Frog can't dig deeper into the deck. I think Juzza's just going to try to play the long game. I wouldn't be surprised if there's no combat this turn, there's no cards played this turn, and he's fully intent to just activate Tasiga if nothing happens.
Yep.
Ooh, okay. Now we're getting into Juzza is trying to end this game.
Juzza
Hell
wants
yeah.
this game to
Okay.
end. Yeah.
Okay.
This is going to be interesting. I mean, Nathan's going to check to see what's on top of his deck, see if it's worth discarding his entire hand, which he can leave 1 card in hand and bin the Psychic Frog. And he might be going for it.
He might also be chump blocking, because if he takes this 4 and goes to 9 and then draws a card down to 7, oh boy, here we go. Never mind.
I hate this. I hate this so much. We'll see what it's...
But what if we discarded a Snapcaster, which didn't do anything?
Yeah.
Hullbreacher, which was a real card, an island, and a Flusterstorm, which is getting worse because of how many lands Juzza has. Okay. He discarded a Hullbreacher. That was the only real card in there, so I don't hate this play. I think he's losing,
reasonable,
but
yeah.
I don't hate that play.
I mean, getting rid of the there's a really high value on getting rid of the Sheoldred. Like,
Which I think is why Juzza attacks with it there, right? Like, you just go, if you want to block this, I'm okay with it. If you don't block this, you're dead in 2 turns.
Totally. There's like the nightmare mode of like the removal spell coming out afterwards, so you also have to keep that in mind. But I don't think Nathan has the luxury of like preparing for something else because he has to worry about what's on the board.
Here comes the Tasigur activation.
So nice.
Probably going to pick up a Bauble.
Yeah, Bauble's the only bad option here, and it seems that Nathan agrees. Red Elemental Blast in the bin, consider lots of really great options, but it's going to take either a really good delve or a lot of activations of Tasigur to get any of those good cards out of the graveyard.
I mean, if he hits 2 lands and gets given a consider, I think he's fine with it. Like, as long as he doesn't crack the ball before going Tasigur again, all of his graveyard is hits. I mean, a cantrip is perfectly fine.
Yeah.
Because you draw a card off the Tasigur activation, which is the cantrip, and then the cantrip can draw 1.5 cards. You know, if the consider been something that would have been a bad draw, and then you get the card underneath it.
Definitely.
He did crack the Bauble.
Profane Tutor in the exile. So this game, we might be going to a game 3 before too long. Not much left on Nathan's side. 2 cards in hand. Tasigur cannot be activated again, unfortunately, but I don't think Juzza really minds. Okay, this could be good. This could be big.
It's gonna have to be.
See what we got.
It's getting bolted, sure.
Yeah, it's just Nathan. He's just.
I think Nathan is incredibly unlikely to win this game now. Now that the Ragavan is gone as an out.
Yeah. I think it was nice to have the Ragavan, and it was like you definitely dash, like you definitely go for it. It's as I mentioned before, you just like straight up don't have the luxury of hoping that your opponent, like playing around whatever is in your opponent's hand, because you're just like fighting in this uphill battle with very few cards in hand yourself. Yeah.
We've sped up the clock. Trying to rip the last card. It's probably a Murktide. Oh no, he would have pitched that to the Frog. It's probably just a... Yeah, it's a Force Negation. When I said Spell Pierce earlier, Force Negation... No, like, that's not what I meant. But counter a non-creature spell is what I meant.
Yeah.
Because if the Sheoldred and the Tasigur are both resolved, like, there's only so many things Nathan can have in his hand.
Yeah, exactly.
Alright, this game is over. Juzza is almost certainly just going to get a counter spell with this Profane Tutor and just lock it up.
Yeah, we'll see. I mean, Nathan can't, I mean, if he has a removal spell in hand, now's the time to use it. He's, okay, well, Mana Leak, sure, but you're still dead on board. I mean, that's it, yeah. So Tasigur's coming in, Dragon's Rage Channeler, yeah. But it was nice to counter that spell.
It did feel good. I mean, Juzza didn't even pay for it. It was fully intent to say, you can have this one.
You know what? You got it.
Juzza's always a nice guy. Perpetual people of 100%. The... Perpetual champ of the people. Alright, we're going to game 3. Yeah. Nathan has the play now. Assuming the Leyline doesn't get into play on turn 0, I imagine it's going to look pretty similar to that game 1. But if that Leyline happens again, I think we're just going to see another, game 2 shenanigan where Nathan draws half of his cards that he would draw over the course of the game. We saw a Snapcaster that didn't do anything. The Psychic Frog that couldn't jump, for example, and the Darcy that was just a 1/1. So
that was like way more influential than I thought it would be. Like I was like Leyline. I'm not heaps excited about Leyline, but you're absolutely right that it was like there's all these like cards that don't really use the graveyard, but kind of use the graveyard, and like Nathan saw all of them as well. Like he got to hold on to his Hull Breacher before it was discarded. But other than that, as you said, can't jump the Frog. Can't use your DRC. Yeah, that was Juzza's to win. Sometimes it's like, sometimes you just have to throw up your hands and be like, I was never going to win this one. And I think that was like, yeah, it was a really nice set from Juzz.
I mean, he clearly believed in the Leyline more than either of us did, based on the hand that he kept. And it worked out. You know, he was right.
Yeah.
It worked out as much as he thought it would. Clearly.
Yeah, absolutely. I couldn't imagine he. I don't think he could envision a better setup than that. Getting that ley line and not getting punished for the one lander.
We do not have pre-game action. Gonna play nice, honest, fair Magic here.
We have the nearly pre-game action of Gitaxian Probe. Unfortunately, not able to see. This, I wonder if this says target player. It must say target player. Look at target player's hand. No, we should be able to see that. We'd be able to see a Thoughtseize. Oh well.
No, because that says they reveal their hand.
Oh, you're right. All right.
Yeah.
Okay. Hidden information. That's cool. Good start.
Unfortunate. That's okay.
I can tell you that what's in Juzz's hand is not a turn 1 removal spell, because that 1/2 punch of Gitaxian Probe, check the coast is clear, play Ragavan. Oh, never mind. Take it all back.
It could just be an Unholy Heat, and yeah, and Nathan has a Daze Room.
Yeah. Okay.
Well, the Ragavan looks like it's connecting. Every
time a Ragavan connects, you get a little bit further away from winning, so if Nathan can wiggle his way into maybe finding if Nathan finds a Thoughtseize here, he's laughing. He finds a Watery Grave, but that is, ooh, that's all right. No second land drop. We're going to rely on these treasures pretty hard.
No, he is land drop. He dazed to pick up the bulk, yeah.
Right you are. Damn.
But he got an extra land because he has a treasure token now, so... Juzza is missing his second land drop. That...
Loose.
That spells bad news. But he does have a bulk. Okay. So he has 2 removal spells. This is getting spell pierced, I'm guessing.
No reb.
Okay.
Bleb.
So Juzza's keep, even though we couldn't see it, was a land and 2 removal spells for Eternal Ragavan. Neither of those removal spells have gotten through.
Hate that.
But Nathan might be missing his second land drop. This might be a really low resource game. Oh no, he's got a Delta. Okay.
So we still don't know whether or not what Nathan's land situation is, but he is going to get that benefit, obviously, of getting to hit with a Ragavan. Probably for more turns. Mental Misstep card exiled with Ragavan just now. But yeah, suddenly Nathan's on 4 mana, Juzza's on 1. I don't know. I wouldn't do the maths right now. I don't want to guess who's in a better position, because I'm worried for Juzza. Perhaps how can
I think Juzza's at about 25-30%.
Yeah.
I would say.
I've made worse gambles.
If he hit the land drop there, I would have given him 35. But it definitely looks like he's missing it again. So
I feel like it's slipping away a little bit. Because you have to also now hope that Nathan doesn't have that removal spell, and we've got Snapcaster Beb. Oh yeah.
Beb, yeah. Surprised he didn't Beb it on the stack. That's interesting. Probably a minor.
It's more exciting to let it resolve, you know.
You don't want to give Juzza the Surveil if he has to protect the Darcy, but it's a minor thing. It's probably not. He gets to cast a Mercurial Dancer here. Okay.
That's super nice.
That's bad as well. And he has follow-up. No, sure.
So, Mercurial Spelldancer, it didn't, again, probably just falls to the sword of being an X1, but people were hyped for that card when it came out, and I feel like it kind of fell off. It's a good card, can't be blocked, gets you extra things, but Nathan thought it was good enough to cast off the Ragavan, so must be at least in partial agreement.
So if this Tamir gets to block Ragavan, Juzza might be okay. If he goes to 7 and he hits his land drop, maybe we're okay. I think we're hitting the 20 to 15 range now.
What? 20 to 15, but recalculate now because I'm going to imagine in my mind that Juzza has the full combo in his hand, and all he needs is...
2 lands?
You need 2 more lands?
He's not playing a Dark Rit. He doesn't have a way to accelerate out of the combo. There's no Lotus Petal.
No Lotus Petal? No Chrome
No
Mox?
Lotus Petal. No Chrome Mox.
This is-
The only artifacts are 2 baubles. Juzza has to hit 2 lands and have the consultation not packed. And for all of that to resolve.
Yeah, yeah.
And his Tamiyo's dead.
He must have just kept a hand that was literally all 1-drops, 1 land. I keep it again. You know, it's kind of annoying if you don't hit your second cantrip and you don't hit your cantrip, or your cantrips don't find you any lands, but it's like so.
I mean, it's possible he had the Tamiyo and maybe the Darcy and chose to forego playing them on turn 1 in favor of trying to kill the Ragavan.
Yeah.
He could have had a 1-lander with 1-drop. Like, it's entirely possible that that was his hand, and it just hasn't panned out specifically against turn 1 Ragavan. Counterspell.
Yeah.
Which, you know, that's why the card's 2 points. If you can get it through, and you can get it through as many times as Nathan has, it's really hard to...
Yeah, it just runs away with the game. So similar to Dreadhorde Arcanist is that we've like, it's kind of fallen out of favor, but it is really one of those cards that like, if it sticks around, it's just really hard to lose, you know?
Yeah, I mean, Ragavan is baby Dreadhorde. It is daddy Dreadhorde Arcanist, like...
I'm baby Dreadhorde. Inquisition of Kozilek for...
It's resolving? Got a daze, a subtlety, I think that is?
No, we got Hydroblast, Stifle, DHA, and Steam Vents.
Okay.
This is, yeah, we're looking at the right people. So he's, I mean, maybe you're taking... He
takes the Stifle, and he goes to 1, and draws any land that makes mana and isn't a fetch land, and he has the combo, and it's the 3-mana version of the combo, he can win this game.
Okay. So...
It's winnable. He's not at 0%.
Yeah. I think we're still keeping it at 15. Maybe we're slowly trending towards maybe 10%, but...
I'd put it less than that at the moment.
Yeah.
Okay, this removal spell? Okay.
Let's hope
Killing
it's good
this
enough.
because we can't kill the Ragman. Now his fetch is alive. So if he has the combo, he's got more outs.
All right. He knows he's susceptible to Hydroblast, kind of. I don't even think you're like that susceptible to Hydroblast.
He's not. That's his Oracle and Demonic Consultation. Both dodge Hydro.
Okay. Juzza's gonna win on the 10%.
Has he got it?
Let's find out. We're on 3 lives.
If he has a removal spell, he buys an extra turn as well.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
He 100% has the combo in hand. Okay, here's a fetch land. All right, we're either going for it or...
I think he... Oh
my god.
If he has it, this would be so sick.
Oh my god. Let's hear it. Let's change the music up. I got some extra music in case I started comboing off and I could do something a little bit more exciting, but
no shot. No shot!
Let's go.
Is this resolving?
Spell Pierce! No! The top deck was Spell Pierce! Never mind.
Juzza can have 4 scorecard, but he cannot have misstep, because he's on 2. And he can block and die. That's so crazy.
Really, it came down to the wire. It really came down to the wire. Oh, he has a block. He has a block.
Yeah, but he's on 2 because he had the fetch.
Right.
Yeah.
The fetch.
That's crazy.
That's it.
That's a crazy ending to that match. Wow.
You really had to have it all.
Well played, both players.
Yeah.
Well done, Nathan.
That's wonderful. Okay, so people are going to get this information late, but they're going to enjoy it. Congratulations to Juzza. No, congratulations to Nathan. Huge. I guess we wait for chat to catch up. No, we don't have to wait for chat to catch up.
Well played to Juzza. Well played to Nathan. Congrats to both players. That was a hell of a match. That was
nice.
down to the wire
Nice.
multiple times. That was crazy.
Wonderful. So I'm going to tag the people who are left over. That's Juzza, Cody, and who is our wonderful third?
Harry.
Very close. Please DM me your details.
For anyone curious, that was a $300 spell pierce top deck.
That was a $300 spell pierce
versus a $300 Marsh Flats top deck. That's crazy.
Very nice.
Wow.
Very nice. Yeah, that's really wonderful. A nice way to end it as well, because we did really just come down to the wire, and you do love to see when games come down to just that last top deck. I already posted in the chat to let these people know. We get to see the game 3 hand. The game 3 hand from Nathan was Stifle, Gataxian Probe, Ragavan, Snap Custom Age, Daze, Dread Horde, and Arid Mesa. I'd play that. I'd play that hand. I'd play it again, and I'd play it again and again and again. You have all the bits and bobs that you really need. So very nice, very nice. So Nathan, congratulations, Canadian treasure. The best Australian 7-point Highlander players are obviously in a different country. But yeah, to verse Juzza and to win is something that many Australian players have strived to, but have not been able to capture. So huge congratulations to Nathan. I think it's in the middle of the night for him, so he's done very well.
Yeah, it'd be like 1 a.m. or something.
He's going to walk away with this Badlands, which is very, very, very nice. Everyone else is going to receive a little bit of money. $150 for second, $75 for third and fourth. So wonderful day. I don't think there's much else to say, but keep an eye out for future content. We will put this on the YouTubes, of course. Volty, where can people find you in the future if they want to hear your voice again?
So as mentioned, I'm Volty. I have multiple channels and a bunch of different ways you can find content of mine. On the 7-point website, there are articles that I write. On my YouTube channel, Volty the Gamer, there is plenty of 7-point Highlander content, including a lot of introductory stuff if you're trying to get into the format. I have a Twitch stream as well, although for the most part that is different games that aren't Magic, just a heads up. A lot of Elden Ring speedrunning. And if you at me in the Discord, you can ask me any questions you'd like. I'm pretty open. Otherwise, I'll drop the link tree of mine in the chat, just to make it nice and easy for people. But otherwise, thank you so much for having me, Angus. It's been a hoot.
My absolute pleasure. It's always wonderful to talk with you both in the public realm and, of course, in the private. Yeah, really excited to have you here with me. Really excited to see your content now and into the future. I've posted our links as well. That's youtube.com/CBR MTG. You can find us on Twitch at twitch.tv/CBR MTG. And here's the link tree as well. So thank you very much, Volty. Thank you for joining us. It's been wonderful. And let's say goodbye to the chat. Thank you, everyone. See you later.
Bye, chat. Have a good one.